Good afternoon, everyone. So this is Mr. Hartzler here. I'm going to show you how to do more with the train body. We're going to do more assembly today. So I'm going to bring up real quick the plans we're using. If you were with us last time, you watched us bring the train body into the assembly, put in the smokestack, and we put in the hitch magnet and the hitch peg and put all of that together. Now we're going to start by bringing in the wheels, axles, linkage arm, and linkage pegs. Alright, so we have our train body here. I go up to place, and I want to place a part. Then I have to go and I find them all. Hopefully you put them all in a nice, neat, organized train folder. Now I'm going to bring in a wheel and hit open. And I'm just going to place one right now just so my screen doesn't get too cluttered. Then press escape. I'm now going to place, and I'm going to bring in an axle peg. Open that, and also just going to put in one and press escape. I think it's a whole lot easier if you just do one of these things at a time. Don't bring in a whole lot of parts and just have everything floating around. You'll lose them. It doesn't go well. And we want to free rotate. It had me selected the axle peg already, so I'm going to kind of rotate that one first. Then I'm going to free rotate, click on my wheel, and then free rotate. All I'm doing here is trying to get my axle peg and my axle kind of close. I actually have one of them backwards now. So I'm going to rotate my wheel around this way. They don't have to be perfect, but I have to try and get them close enough so when I try and assemble them, my axle peg, for example, doesn't go in backwards. And then I'm going to constrain. I'm going to leave it as a mate. I'm going to do my axle, or axis, of my wheel. Then I'm going to do the axis of my axle, and then hit OK. And you'll notice now they are perfectly in line this way, but they move back and forth still. And I don't want that, so I'm going to constrain, and I want to mate the back side of my axle and the front side of my wheel, this edge. And then press OK. And now that should be good. If you'll notice, I can kind of spin my wheel. My axle doesn't move. That's what I want. I've had students that have some issues with that, and there's been a couple times where their wheels are stuck. So hopefully that doesn't happen for you. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the axis of our axle peg and the axis of our hole for our axle peg. You'll notice now that it could be a little too far in, so I can still pass my wheel through. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to mate the back side of my wheel and the side of my train. Alright, then press OK, and I'm going to mess with my wheel. Okay, I can't pull it back and forth, but it can spin. That's good. I want it to spin. I'm going to do the same thing on all the sides. So I'm going to place again, bring in my wheel. I'm going to just place one of them, and then do the same thing with my axle peg. Place it. Then I want to re-rotate. I'm just going to move my axle peg around. Good. Then I'm going to constrain the axis of my axle peg and the axis of my wheel. Then the back side of my axle peg, front side of my wheel. And then I'm going to constrain the axle peg to the hole. And now when it comes in backwards, that's something where I tend to just cancel it. Just try and constrain it again, see if you end up with the same issue. We did, so what we're going to do now is try and free rotate both of them. Alright, so all I did there was I free rotated each piece. And you can kind of see now that I'm where I want to be. So I free rotated the wheel, and then I free rotated the axle. And once I press escape, it just kind of locked both of them back in. While you're free rotating, it kind of forgets about the constraints. And then once you escape from that, it fixes itself. And then we constrain this side of the train to the inside of the wheel. So now I've done just both back wheels, and this one too should be able to spin. The axle peg doesn't, but I can drag on the axle peg and make it spin. That's fine. I am not going to keep showing you how to do all of the wheels. If you need help watching that, you can go back and watch some of the previous part of this YouTube video. But just to save on some time, I'm not going to show you how to do all four of them. Now, we have everything in the back, everything we show you how to do the wheels. Now let's do the cowcatcher. So I'm going to place cowcatcher, open, place it on the front. Free rotate. You always want to free rotate what you have so it gets pretty close. Now this one, you see the 3 pegs on the front of the cow or back of the cowcatcher and the 3 holes on the front of the train. If we constrain 2 of those, making sure we line up the right ones, then everything should be all squared up. It's like putting 2 holes or 2 screws in a board, and it's going to keep everything all nice and straight. Just 1 hole and it could possibly still spin around, but you'll notice now I can only go forward and backward. Now I want to fix that, so I'm stuck right up against it. Constrain, front of the train, and the back of the cowcatcher. Press OK, and it should be on there. And try and tug on it, make sure it doesn't move. Good. Oh, I accidentally double clicked on it, so now it thinks I want to edit it. So I'm just going to click on Train Assembly in my browser. Click the home view, and my wheels move. Cowcatcher's on there. It's great. I'll bring you back in when I have all the wheels on, and I'll show you how to do the linkage arms. Alright, so now I have all 4 wheels on, and if you go around all of them, they all rotate, and that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. Now I'm going to place again. This time I'm going to do the linkage arm. Press open. I'll put one here, and I'm actually going to put both of them in right now. Press escape, so I'm done bringing in the linkage arms. Then I'm going to place, and I'm going to do my linkage peg. Put one here and one over here. And press escape, so you're done putting in the linkage pegs. And then you need to free rotate each of the linkage pegs so that they are close to what you want them to be. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be close enough that it doesn't go in backwards for you. I'm going to do this similar to the last one. I'm going to do the axis of both of them. So again, the axis of our linkage peg and the axis of this hole. And then press OK. Alright, and now that needs to come up. Oh, we have to, as I drag that around, you can see that they want to pass through each other still. So I'm going to mate the front side of this and the back side of the pegs. Let me try and find that view. Right there. Apply that. And then come around here. Do the same on this one. Then OK. Now if I'm here, if I move it around, they're all connected. Now I have to mate. I'm going to do the axis of my peg and the axis of this hole. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Constrain the axis of my peg, the axis of this hole. Apply. Now I'm going to do, zoom out a little bit, just the back side of my linkage arm and this smooth piece here. Right there. And then the back side of my linkage arm. Press OK. And there it is. Go to my home view. Now if I pull my linkage arm, everything should move right along, right in time. Look at that. Okay. Coming back around. Do the same thing on this side. Place. I'm going to bring in my linkage pegs. Place 2 of them. Press escape. I need to free rotate both of them. Again, just so they're pretty close. Don't have to be perfect. Axis of this, and the axis of this hole. Same thing with the other one. Axis of the peg, axis of the hole. You might have to rotate around so you can find the axis of the hole. Alright, get it a little bit closer. You can see, can't quite fit it on there. As it fits on there, this piece acts like the bushing in here, and then our peg fits on. Alright, so I'm actually going to do this in a slightly different order just so you can kind of see how that all works. So now I'm going to constrain the axis of this peg to the axis of this. Apply. And now you can see how this portion acts kind of like how a bushing would around our linkage arm. I'm going to do the same on the other side. The axis of this to the axis of this peg. And you notice that they're moving themselves to where they need to be so they are allowed to line up. And even right now, all my pegs and everything move where they should. You can just see the linkage peg is not quite where it needs to be yet. So now we're going to constrain this side of our linkage peg to the side of our linkage arm. And we were a little too far in. We need to do this linkage arm flush up against this side here. Alright. And I only had to do the linkage arm on this one front wheel. And that's because if I try and pull this side off, though it's not technically constrained in, then this side becomes kind of at an angle to the part it's mated to. And that's not allowed. It's not allowed to do that. Since both ends here had to be mated and the linkage arm can't be bent, I know that this side is going to be fine. So now I just have to push this peg in and have it seated right where I want it to be. So we're going to constrain the front side of my linkage arm to the back side of my peg. And everything should be good to go. And this side, everything also moves in time. And that's it. That is all of our pieces. Everything is all together nice and good. I haven't colored my wheels, axle pegs, those things, as you can obviously see. If you had time, it's always a great thing to do. I think it looks a lot better when you change the color, make it look a little more unique. After the assembly, you then need to go through and do a presentation file. And in the presentation file, you get to pull all of the pieces off. It looks really nice when you're doing a presentation file. You can play it forwards and backwards, and you can watch it put itself together and pull itself apart. It's a very cool program. All right, so hopefully this answers all your questions on assembling the train. I have another video that just shows the smokestack and the hitch magnet and hitch peg. I want to split those up into two little videos, and I just didn't have time the day I made the other one. So here's everything now. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I appreciate all of you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Please follow me on Instagram at Mr. Hartzler and on Twitter at just Mr. Hartzler Math. Thanks for watching, everybody.